welcome to another episode of Coder Conversations. This is Kevin.
And this is TC.
What's up, man?
I'm chilling, man. Chilling. It's been a really good week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see you upgraded your camera setup.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was time. It was time.
Yeah.
I think we did one podcast, and I was looking at your camera quality, and I was like, you know what? Let me just make the investment. So,
yep,
I'm happy with the results. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it looks way better, man. Didn't you say like you use that for your job, like your stand-up meeting?
Yeah. So I used it for I tried to use it for an interview. It didn't work out too well, but I used it for my stand-up, and my team was like, "Oh man, he looks like a Twitch streamer now. It's so clear."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I kind of got to work on my backdrop to see what I can put back there to make it look a little cooler.
You think about maybe get one of them green screens? I was about to get one. They got one that you don't have to hang. Like you can just put it on the floor and then lift it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's by Elgato.
Oh God,
I'm thinking about getting that. So kind of change the backdrop a little bit.
Right. That's cool.
What camera did you end up getting?
The Sony ZV-1, and because we talked about it, and I was looking at like Canon cameras and some other stuff, but I told myself, like, you know what, let me just try, if Kevin is getting good results, let me just try that, and I'm not disappointed at all. I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, I really like it because you don't have to deal with all the lenses and everything. You just turn it on and just go.
I think there's a wide angle lens accessory, but I don't. I'm not a big camera guy, so I don't know much about that.
Right. Exactly.
But it feels like this camera is a good enough camera. Like it does vlogging very well. Like I guess it just specializes in doing vlogs, and then that's it.
Exactly. So what I'm saying? Yeah, if this really takes off, then maybe upgrade the camera, but there's no reason to right now.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, but yeah, man. This week has been interesting, like to say the least. Personally for me, I didn't see this promotion that I got out of, coming out of nowhere. It was definitely like a left field type thing. But I don't feel any different. And I think we talked about this like a long time ago. It's like the title changes, the money changes, but then you don't feel any different. And so I
think the best you'll feel is like when you're going from like $12 an hour to 30, like your first promotion where your life significantly changes.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, it's like, okay, that's cool, whatever.
Exactly. Like to me, the only thing that really changes is like you think less about just going out and getting something. Like you go to a restaurant, I'm gonna go ahead and get that. 12 wings or something.
Yeah, exactly. You were like, okay, I'm gonna get that. Yeah, because I was talking to my sister the other day, and because we both have she's been working at like a bakery for 3-4 years now, and I've been working at this job currently it'll be 3 years in March, and so I compare the time that I've spent going after a trade and getting a skill and perfecting it, right? And I'm like, here's what I make in 2 weeks, right? Versus what you make in 2 weeks. And it's not to like flex, but it's to say like when you invest the time into yourself, right? And you work on it, right? Then it'll pay off in the end. So, the point that I'm trying to make with that is like, the journey to becoming like an engineer, right, is tough, right? That barrier to entry is hard, but the payoff is so sweet. It's really nice.
Yeah, man. It's just worth investing in yourself. Like even with the upgrading the camera, I feel like way better. About getting on these podcasts and actually pushing it. Like honestly, our stuff before looked kind of ghetto looking, a little run down. You know what I mean? Like especially when we first started and we were just on Anchor FM, like
doing the audio thing. Yeah. Like, oh man, we should go to video. Like, I don't know about video, maybe.
So yeah, it's way better, man. Like when you start investing in yourself, you feel good about yourself, like even with your clothes and all of that.
Yeah. Yep. It's like what was it? I had a friend and she used to say like, when you look good, you feel good. And I didn't get that at the time. But then once I started like buying clothes that actually fitted me, right, versus wearing baggy clothes and like ironing my clothes, right, and like taking care of my skin and just trying to take care of myself, right, and people notice that. And I think in any profession you should take care of yourself, right, or not regardless of profession, I should say, regardless of what you do, try to take time and prepare and take care of yourself. The way you groom, the way you smell, everything, like all of it matters, man. It all matters.
Makes you feel like way better, like it's just confidence. It makes you way more confident, like you feel good about yourself, and people want to be around that. They don't want to be around like some dirty, smelly guy.
Exactly.
Low self-esteem.
Yep. And I think
okay, go ahead. You know what's interesting is like social skills really matter in this industry, because like I remember my first job, I was kind of like just going in, staying to myself, being quiet.
Yep. Head down.
Yep. Yeah. If you don't make that human connection, man, you miss out, man.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I know talking about human connection, two things, right? So, when I first started working at this current company, right, at my current gig, they, when they were talking about the promotion or whatever, like, man, Terrence come a long way. I remember when he used to just come in here, just head down, not talk to anybody, like just go straight to the back. That's where my office was, and just like sit down and be back there and just code away, right? And then like when he's mad or whatever, he would just walk out and not talk to anybody and just go on his little walks and everything. And it people have a perception of you, like when they tell a story, right? Like you're like, man, yeah, I really used to do that. I really used to just like head down, not talk to anybody, and just like just clock in and clock out, like, because that's what I had a grandmother. Well, she's still around, but my grandmother taught me that. She was like, just get in and get out. That's your idea of a job. And I was like, and I took that, and it doesn't take you places. You're just you're just you it's almost like you dread coming to work. You don't make it fun. You just get in and get out, and you just see that place as a job instead of something more than a job.
It limits your progress too. Like it's usually the people that's cool with the boss that seems to kind of just shoot up there. If you're good at your job and you just kind of go in the corner somewhere, they kind of look at you as like he got a bad attitude, like
or how come you don't talk to nobody?
It's just like he's just a cold monkey. We'll keep him in that corner over there.
So but in reality, it's like the door's always open to make that connection, and you have to find that more than ever, because of working from home. Like I'm noticing that like making a human connection with somebody is a little bit different, or a lot of bit different, I guess you could say, because there's no you don't see that person face to face. You don't get that verbal tone. You don't get the facial expressions when they're speaking. You just miss out on so many different like social cues that tell you how somebody's feeling versus just reading their text and interpreting it yourself. So it's a social skill that you have to learn. I recommend anybody who's watching this, like, to put yourself out there more, like, and just start to build up those social skills. Like one thing I do is every morning my sister and I will go on a jog, right, in the morning. And we've done this for about a year or so now. But now I've started to make a point of every person that I see, I say good morning. And so it's more so for myself. Like, I don't really expect a response, but I try to get out of that habit of, oh man, this person's passing by me, let me not say anything. oh, let me cross the street because I'm afraid that this girl is gonna think that I'm gonna try to get at her or whatever. But like now it's like, you know what, let me just talk to this person, and if they say hi back, cool, that's a win. That's a win in my book. And if they don't, it's whatever. It's no skin off my back.
Yeah, that's kind of like the thing, man. That I'm working through, like getting past being worried about rejection and failure. Like I used to work at like this video game, like a video game review website, and like before I came on board, they weren't really like, you know, companies start sending you free games and stuff if you work at them kind of places, but nobody there really asked for that. So I just decided to take it on myself. Like, let me reach out to these companies, and if they say no, oh well. Yeah. But what actually happened when I started reaching out, these companies actually started sending us stuff. So
nice.
It's just getting past that feeling of like rejection in our mind is way worse than, you know,
than what it
our
is.
imagination is way worse than it actually is. Like, and most somebody said, oh no, like, you know, recently I did an interview. Like, I'm not really looking to change job. I'm like, whatever, let me go do this interview. And they rejected me. And honestly, I don't really care.
Well,
so what?
Yeah, but I think your case is different. And my girlfriend said the same thing. Is like, you already got a job, right? So it's not it's not a end all to be all type of situation, right? There's a lot of people out here who are trying to who either don't have jobs, where it's soul crushing to get that rejection, or B, they're trying to switch careers and they're getting that rejection. But I think to add to your point, rejection is it doesn't care how many years you've been in the industry. It doesn't care what you look like or how many followers you have on LinkedIn or anywhere. You're going to get rejected somewhere or another along this journey, right? In life, not just in your career. So I would say, like, don't look at senior engineers and be like, oh man, he must get like tons of offers and he's so good. But because at the end of the day, like, past all that success is a mountain of rejection.
Yeah. You know, like the point I'm trying to make is, like, you know, even before I got this, you know, I've been in the industry for 5 years. Like when I first started out, I got rejected a ton. So did you, you know, and you don't even think about those rejections now.
No, you know? I don't. No,
it just takes that one yes, but to get to that one yes, you just had to go through all of those rejections. So it's kind of like, just make it a game. Like if you get rejected, so what? Just learn from it and then go to the next. It's almost like playing an RPG. Like each rejection is you like grinding to level up. You know, you got to kind of train your mind to not take the rejection personal and get down on it. Just say, what do I think I did wrong on this? And then, you know, alter your game plan and keep going at it. Like, you know, even with this podcast, man, I just started, I reached out to one guy so that we could get him on to do an interview. He might say no. He says no. Oh, well, you know,
it is what it is.
Exactly. But if I was acting all scared of rejection, we wouldn't have anybody to interview. So
True that. You know. Yeah, you're right. Nah, man. And it's talking about video games and video game news. Microsoft just bought Bethesda, right? Bethesda, or not Bethesda, no, but Blizzard. Sorry, Blizzard and Activision. $68 billion.
Yeah,
$68 billion. That's a ton of money.
That's one thing I like about Microsoft. They made an aggressive move. You know.
Yeah. I just feel like, are we heading towards a monopoly where one company just buys out all these other sub companies, right? And let's say maybe they don't force those companies to only make games like for their consoles, right? Let's say it's still multi-platform, but now it seems like it's going to start this chain reaction. The fear that I have is a chain reaction of major companies buying out smaller companies and acquiring them, and then like either phasing them out, I think is the word, where like they get bought out and just integrated into the company, and then they go under. They don't go under, but the what's what I'm looking for?
Disappear.
Yeah, they sort of Yeah, they sort of, yeah, exactly. Like that. Let's say you acquire a studio, and then that studio just gets absorbed into Microsoft, and they just become Microsoft. That's my fear, is that a lot of these major companies get taken up, because I think that's what happened to Squaresoft, right? Did it happen to Squaresoft? Who else did that happen to? I forget, but there's a lot of old school RPG studios that were around in the early 90s. They got acquired, and they just got their resources just became a part of whatever the major company is. So I just feel like major companies needs to be careful about taking in these smaller guys, because then where's the competition, right? Where's the indie studios that to make those what's the word I'm looking for? Original games, yeah. I was trying to think of an original game off the top of my head, but I couldn't think of it at the time.
You know, it's like wrestling when WWF bought WCW and it went to WWE. After that happened, it seemed like the quality went downhill because there's no competition. It's just like we own everything. Let's take it easy.
Yeah. I think competition breeds good competition. Good competition breeds quality product, right? So like, people let's relate it to the tech industry, right? People are they don't want to do algos, they don't want to do data structures, they're getting an entry level job is too hard. But are you just, I would look at it like this: instead of thinking something is too hard, it's like, are you hitting something at the same angle over and over and over again, expecting a different result? Or are you trying different things and trying different angles to get, to get the goal that you want, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
you gotta level your skill set up.
You gotta level your skill set up. Yeah, exactly. And it's gonna be tough. The competition is gonna be out there, but it makes you better. It makes everybody better.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like, that's why I've been investing in learning mathematics, man. I can't, I don't want to just stay in the crud space forever. I got to do something that vastly expands my skill set, because like we just talked about, the saturation point is increasing to such an extent that, it's going to be, even if you got experience in the industry, it's going to be hard to switch jobs because they're ramping up the interview requirements.
Yeah. Yep. And, where are you taking that math stuff? Because I know you're studying it, but it's like, okay, what's the goal?
Okay, so like even data structures and algorithms, the whole of computing is built on mathematics. But math is such a broad term that you have to pick specific subsectors of it. So right now, I'm more so studying like math that's relevant to like 3D simulations, like games and things of that nature. Because like you know why Microsoft bought Activision and Blizzard? It's not necessarily to compete with Sony. It's to compete, to prevent Facebook, Google, and those companies from entering into the space, because the metaverse is the next big frontier. You know what I mean? So they don't want Facebook to have to buy Activision, Blizzard, or Google, and piggyback off of them to.
Right.
That's the next big frontier. Whoever owns the primary servers for the metaverse, they're going to make a ton of money because everybody's buying digital space from them.
Right. But that's just going to be Facebook. Facebook's just going to run it on their servers, right? Like sure, let's say Facebook opens it up to where, I mean, at this point, Facebook could really, or Meta, whatever you want to call them, let's just say Zuckerberg could essentially make it so that you have to have an Oculus in order to run it, right? In order to use the VR, you got to use it on Oculus. They're going to run the servers, and then they just rent out whatever space that they want to these advertisers. It's almost like their own subsection of the internet, right?
Yeah, that's what Microsoft is really competing against. Like, they don't want Facebook. They want to be the company that everybody comes to and buys digital land and digital assets off of. So it's Google, Amazon, all of these companies. They're competing to be the owners of the so-called new Earth, like the meta Earth. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And
who else is
like
making is? Go ahead.
No, yeah, if you're a small company with some good skills, good 3D skills, you know, you can get bought out for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because these companies, they're going to start poaching all of these companies. If they spend 70 billion for Blizzard Activision, I don't know if you heard about Unity. They recently bought some company that they produce like I guess like some facial animation type of technology. I forget what the exact name was, but let me look that up real quick.
Oh, Parsec? No. Yeah, Parsec. Last year?
No, it was just recently. Ziva, I think. Including Ziva.
Never heard of them.
So they were the one that created like more realistic humans.
Oh, that uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So if you think about it, why did they buy them? Probably for the metaverse. They want to have their characters be more realistic than the other companies. So these companies they're getting in the they're gearing up for war for who's going to own the metaverse. So
I can see that.
If you have the skill set, then you can write your own checks.
So that's where you're going. You're entering the 3D space.
Yeah, just math in general, man. Because everything, pretty much, like you want to do machine learning, you have to learn math. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like unless you just want to stay in the CRUD space where you're developing like brochure like websites, you're gonna have to sooner or later you're gonna come across some mathematical stuff that you're gonna have to figure out. So I'm like, might as well get the jump on it. Because you know, like I've been in the industry for about 6 years. I'm getting to the point where it's feeling like I'm doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Like, okay, go hit the back end. You gotta spice it up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. What about you? Like, how are you progressing your skills? Like, where are you taking your knowledge?
Well, I recently started working with I started contract work with a friend of mine. He's got a startup and they use React. And so that's been a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. Like just understanding like CI/CD. Have you heard of that? Like continuous
integration, like Jenkins and all of that. Yeah. Pipelines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, at first it felt like there was a lot of different moving parts, but really like when I just took the time to really like understand it, I think after like a month or so, it's about to be a month. It'll be a month next month, and the third. I don't feel that same like, oh my god, like something is gonna break or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a task, it's like, okay, cool. Like if I don't understand something, I'm gonna just look up the framework and like piece it together. But man, like just exposing myself to like Jenkins and CI/CD and Jira boards and like actual stand-ups. Not to say like what we do where I work isn't an actual stand-up, but it's like it feels like corporate where like there's it's less of it's very structured, very like streamlined, and it's like once a week, right? It's like, okay, you know, once a week every Wednesday. All right, boom, 7:30 comes around, do stand up 30 minutes. Within that 30-minute window, you're done. And then you don't see that person unless you reach out to that person for an issue, or they reach out to you for another week. And it's like, wow, okay, is this what the real deal feels like? And I think that may be true. I could be wrong, but
yes, like from my experiences, like kind of like what you're talking about, the stand-ups. You probably, if you go to a big company, you're gonna have them like every day. But like what you did mention about the they have the certain the certain tracking software to where, okay, this store is 5 points, 3 points, like it's more structured. You have to get into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you're doing with the company, your side project is definitely helpful. It's going to help you transition if you ever go to a
Yeah.
corporation.
If I ever jump ship. Yeah, no, man,
Yeah.
and it feels good too. Like to be able to like work with React and like get my hands
Yeah.
dirty, but learning new tech like GraphQL and TypeScript and how to spin up like it's almost like I'm learning best practices because
Right.
like pushing like code isn't just a matter of just like copy and paste. There's a process to it. And so when you
Yeah.
follow that into that process, uh and you get that code review back and you're like, okay, 15 comments, you're like, fuck, okay, well, I thought it was perfect. You're like, oh, this is great,
Yeah.
perfect, send it off. And then, oh, this is wrong. Why are you doing this? Do this instead. XYZ. It's like, dang,
Yeah.
okay. But it's not to tear you down, man. Like I I,
Yeah.
I want to say, like, I think at this point I'm very agnostic to my code. Like I'll
Yeah.
write
Yeah.
it, but it's not personal. It's not like a baby. It's not
Yeah. Yeah.
like
It's not like they're not
it,
criticizing you. Like it's like like a senior developer, they want to get everybody on board to the
yeah,
company standards. Like,
yeah,
okay, I've been in the industry for X amount of time. This is what this everybody needs to get everything on board to these parameters so we can keep the code
yeah,
maintainable.
yeah,
Yeah, like you
yeah,
said, you
yeah,
can't take it personal. You just like check it in. This isn't me. This is just like me delivering a product, and they can trim it up how they want to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's how you gotta look at it, man. Like I would say, don't take it personal. People are gonna have
yeah.
their opinions, and just you know take it for what it is. And if you can't do anything with it, let it go. But if you can do something with it, then apply that, right?
Right.
And it'll make you better in the end, man. Like I used to like something non-technical, right? Like to tell a story. For the longest, I didn't care about the way that I dressed, the way that I smelled, the way that
Yeah.
anything, right? I used to be a bum, I
Show
guess,
up.
for lack of better words, right? And so
Yeah.
my grandmother used to always tell me, like, take care of yourself, brush up your eyebrows, like brush your teeth, like wash your
Yeah.
ass, right? For but
Yeah.
like
Right.
uh and I didn't understand it. Like why, like I'm fine how I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. I don't care about what other people think of me. Like I used to
Yeah.
think that made me hard and I was cool and edgy, but like in reality, it's like those comments, right, are
Yeah.
if you apply them early, then it changes how people perceive you. And so
Right.
because you give off this aura, I guess you could say, that makes people want to be around you or makes people
Yeah.
attracted to you, in a sense. So um like you if somebody makes a comment about you in one way or another, there's a reason why they're saying that, and you have to just try to
Right.
decipher are they saying that because are they saying that out of jealousy, or are they saying that out of like
Trying to
out
improve
of
you.
yeah, exactly. Are they trying to help me or hurt me? And
Right.
that's all up to personal interpretation, man. So
And yeah, like you say, honestly, it feels good improving yourself, man. Like, say you work out, you dress
mhm,
good, like you just feel good. Like you feel like a different person almost. Like
yeah.
even with us improving the cameras on this podcast, like I feel a lot better about showcasing this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
When we first started, it was like super bootleg. Uh, I used
Radio
to,
podcast. Yep.
yeah. Like I
Yeah.
used to walk around holding the phone. You could probably hear me moving around or hear the dogs in the background.
Yep. 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 Oh
I
man.
showed that to a friend way back then. He was like, "Man, I can't advertise this. Like the
Yeah.
content is good. Like y'all's content
Yeah.
is good, but you got to step the production value up." So
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah, man.
I listened and you listened too. Like you got your camera. I got my camera.
Yeah.
So,
Um, I guess like, do you? Mm, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like 1 second. Yeah, so like when you reach out to people, right? I want to touch on this. When you reach out to people or people reach out to you, like how do you go about talking about the podcast, or how do you go about just like how do you go about networking, right? Like if you want to reach out to somebody, do you just send out an invite and then wait for them to respond, or how do you approach that?
Okay, like just to showcase the podcast. Usually I just try to show up like my friends, just so I can kind of like get an idea, get some feedback before we start pushing it to a wider audience. So I say, hey, just you might check out the podcast, tell me what you think.
Yeah.
But like recently today, I just reached out to somebody to get an interview. I was like, hey man, you mind if would you mind coming on our podcast? I just reached out to him on LinkedIn, kind of got straight to the point. And if he says yes, cool, but I'm gonna keep on reaching out to a bunch of different people. Like I was talking, you remember the last guy we interviewed?
Right.
Yeah, real cool guy. Like he was, you remember he was telling you like when he was interviewing developers, he interviewed like 4,000 or something like that. Like
yeah, something crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times it's just like a numbers game. Like how I met him, he reached out to me. He's like, hey, I like what you're doing. I want to help you out. So that's just that's just you just gotta put yourself out there. That was always my biggest fear, like fear of rejection. Like somebody gonna say no, but now it's like, so what? Like they say no, okay, that just opened up the spot for somebody else. So it just comes down to reaching out and saying, hey man, we like what you're doing. Would you mind being on our podcast? We want to interview you. We kind of like your story, just something like that.
Yeah.
And I think we got to do the same thing, like just advertising, like even maybe reach out to like some celebrities. Hey guys, we got a tech podcast. There's not really that many Black people doing tech podcasts, like from a coder's perspective. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of a unique product. So why wouldn't somebody want to potentially get behind that? It's just like we have to get our quality up to a point to where we can showcase it and people are like, oh, okay, that's good. That's some good stuff, which is like, since our camera quality is so much better, now we can actually get in the process of doing that. Because, before it's kind of like, you know what I mean? That people's like, are these guys taking this serious? But we both invested. So, honestly, I feel like, big things are in store,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that's a given. We just got to keep at it. We got to work at it little by little, man. It's going to pay off. I'm just reading some responses to your LinkedIn posts. You're asking about subjects to cover in future video. And some guy had mentioned, Austin Smith had mentioned how hard it actually is to get a dev job, especially without a CS degree, and how boot camps make it seem easy when it's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Did you want to touch on that? Or
okay.
I feel like we could touch on that.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of got in the industry maybe like 3 years before you, so it's a little bit easier for me than for you. And these guys are coming in 3 years after you, so it's even more difficult.
Yeah.
So, but like even back then, I had to put in like tons of apps. It took me like, I believe, over a month to get that first job. So, I think if people try to go the conventional route of just spamming their application everywhere, I talked to a guy, he put in like over 700 and now he finally got traction. But you have to think outside of the box now. Like, this is one of the reasons for like this podcast. This increases our visibility. Like, me just posting on LinkedIn and you posting on LinkedIn, making those posts, people reached out to you like, oh, hey man, that's some cool knowledge. Thanks, man.
Right. Yeah. I would say like, man, like, wow, it's 2022 now. 3 years ago, I was doing the TA thing, right? And so, I didn't really have much advice to give back then, besides the knowledge that I had, right, from tutorials and stuff that I watched. But one thing that I can say is like make self-improvement fun. That's one thing, right? So like some people dread like when you make it a job to get a job, then it becomes you could dread it. You could definitely burn out on it.
Yeah.
So I would say like try to make it fun, but and take it like one step at a time. Like if you start early, then you get that habit ingrained in your mind, and it's no longer you it's less likely that you have to force yourself to do it, and you're more so compelled to do it. Meaning that like if I waited until the first to really start going to the gym and started like working out instead of doing it 2 weeks before the first, right? Then that motivation of, okay, it's the new year, this is my New Year's resolution, like that motivation is only gonna last so long. So I decided like, let me start this habit early, a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then use that to get that ball rolling, get that traction, like you said, and then come the first, like just that motivation just adds towards the fuel, right? Adds towards the goal. So then by the time February rolls around, I'll be a month like into my goal. Like, oh yeah, cool, I can tick off 30 days. Boom, I accomplished something. So like I would say, as far as like to bring this back to the point, like it's gonna be hard. Like we know it's hard, but like don't stew on how hard it is. Because if you just sit around and be like, oh man, it's so hard, it's so hard, it's so hard. I keep getting rejected or whatever.
Burn out.
You're gonna burn out, and all you're gonna think is, oh, I keep getting rejected. Like your subconscious mind is a really powerful thing, man. Like when it's almost like when you're trying to solve a problem. I don't know if you ever have this. You have a problem at work, you can't figure it out.
Just take
you're driving home, or you take a break, or you're driving home, or you're playing a game, and then it just comes to you, boom.
Yep.
Like, oh shit, yeah, that's it. That might work. And then you gotta scramble down to write the idea down or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where if you just chip away at it and only apply a little bit every day, don't spam all day, and then do something else in the meantime. And then you make that way you can at least check off, hey, I applied to 3 places today. In the meantime, I'm gonna work on this Funimation application or whatever, and I'm gonna have fun doing it. And then if they don't respond, okay, whatever. At least I'm having fun. I'm having fun over here. I don't care about what they say. So, yeah, man. Like, it's tough. It's gonna be tough, but you have to make the process fun. And it's those scary things. It's the most difficult things that you have to conquer. Like you can't avoid data structures and algorithms. You can't avoid a crazy list of requirements. You can't avoid those things, but what you can control, right, is how you approach it and how you reach out to people for help. So
I think when it comes down to it, man, there's like 2 key approaches, and you're gonna have to do a combination of both. One, you're gonna have to be really good, and or you're gonna have to have great visibility or / networking skills. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Say you're hiring developers, and you have a pool. They all have a similar skill set. You're gonna hire that guy who he has like an awesome project. He posts about it regularly. He posts about his thinking. He showcases it in videos. Or you're gonna hire that guy like he just has a resume, no picture on his LinkedIn profile, like a sorry project. It's like
I personally, and I'm not hiring right now. I don't want anybody to look at me be like, oh man, he's hiring. Yeah, if I do this, he'll give me a job.
Yeah,
but I would say that I've had several people in front of me, and over a certain amount of time, and the people who don't get hired are the people that I don't see that it factor. And that it factor is like a personality has to come across from the other side of this camera or the other side of the desk or whatever. Like I need to feel that you care about what you do. And it's not like you can't say like I'm passionate about what I do and I love my job and blah blah blah. Like no, like
show me.
You just it has to just resonate from you. Like it's like that Super Saiyan aura. Like when they're going Super Saiyan, they're not talking about the energy that's going around them or whatever. It's just there. And so, yeah, man, you just have to you have to be passionate, and it has to come across in the way that you speak. You have to have confidence for one. Two, you have to have some type of fire, meaning that it can't just be, hey, I did these 3 projects in my boot camp. They said I would get a job. Give me job, please. Like, no, I have to see you go the extra mile. Like, you have to prove to me that you enjoy what you do, one, and two, there's got to be a personality. Like, there's got to be something more that you do versus just writing code, because anybody can write code. Like if I wanted somebody that could write code, I could go on Fiverr, right? Or I could do it myself. But what makes you different, right? Well, how do you separate yourself from all the other bootcamp graduates? Not to put you against your other cohort, but and the reality is, you guys are all starting at that same level, and you guys are all now competing against each other. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like even as a senior, man, or a team lead or whatever, man, you got to keep on doing different things to differentiate yourself. That's why I post on LinkedIn so much, doing this podcast, etc. Like all of this increases our visibility. So when recruiters or whoever, they look at, I need somebody to do a job, who are they going to go for? Like they see my face, they see your face every day, see us talking about code, or are they going to go to some random guy who hasn't updated his LinkedIn in 2 years? You know what I mean? It's like they see it. That's why companies literally spend possibly trillions a year on advertising. I know billions for sure.
Right.
That's why they were companies were considering advertising on the moon, shooting a beam at the moon and putting an ad on the moon, because
that's crazy.
Marketing gets people to act, right? And that's what LinkedIn is. You're advertising yourself, you're marketing yourself. So what makes people want to buy you versus the other 4 or 5 bags of potato chips? What makes you stand out? That's what you got to think about.
Yeah. How you present yourself goes a long way. Like I'll say, I don't check GitHubs personally, but if I saw that somebody is posting regularly, even if it's about rejection, right? If there's got to be a story. Like what's your story? What's your story? Like for me, like at one point I was gonna be homeless. At one I used to spend I used to save up money and spend it. Like I used to work at McDonald's, right? I'd work at McDonald's. I'd save up my paychecks. I'd help pay 1 or 2 bills at my mom's house, and the rest of the money that I had used to go towards a cell phone bill and buying book and saving up to buy JavaScript books. And that's what I would spend my money on. Like if I ate, I would buy a bag of potatoes, and I would make potatoes, and I'd eat potatoes every day. And like that was before I got my TA job. Like I used to, it was my diet consisted of like oats, coffee, and potatoes. It was a terrible diet, but I bought what I could, and there was more things mixed in there, but like those are my staples that I would eat on the regular. And so like you it's the story that you tell is going to come across in your code. Like if you're hungry, it's one thing to say, let me hit up this person and ask them for a job. It's like it's another thing to have a trail of posts working on what you're going to work on, and regardless of getting paid. What would you do regardless of the money, and do that?
So for you, you really like to see like them showcase how they really want it. Like, okay, I didn't have much money, but I spend my money on JavaScript books.
Right. Or there's gotta be some type of investment. Like you gotta go the extra mile. There's gotta be something that separates you from the pack. And for me, it was the people that I've said yes to, it was they're very low ego. There was confidence in the way that they spoke, but it wasn't arrogance. It was I'm confident that I can do that. And then there was also humility of I don't understand that, and I don't know how to do that, but I can learn. But there was a mixture of both, meaning that they're confident in learning it, and they're humble enough to say that they don't know something.
Right.
So the candidates that I would say no to are candidates that say, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I'm after a certain amount of like, yeah, I can do it. Now I'm just poking to see is he gonna say yes to everything?
Yeah. Okay, so kind of like you remember we talked about like grooming yourself. Has somebody ever got on camera or in front of you and they look just sloppy and you're kind of like, even though they might have great coding skills, like I don't know if I want to be around this guy.
Oh my God, this guy. So there's one time, I'm not gonna dox him or anything, but there was a guy that I interviewed, and he came into the office, and he had, I don't know, maybe he was just coming from, I don't know his backstory, but the way he presented himself was very lazy. It came off as if he didn't care about the way that he was going to present himself, and that gave me the idea of like, okay, man, that maybe I get it, like maybe there's something I don't understand, like maybe that you didn't have time to iron or whatever, but that's giving me the feeling that either you don't prioritize time, or this doesn't matter enough to you. So one thing was that he didn't have his shirt ironed, and then his shirt, like the top part of his shirt was like unbuttoned, so like the top two buttons were unbuttoned, and I'm like, okay, I can let that pass, right? Maybe, but then he showed his work, and it's like, okay, it's an e-commerce site, it's all right, but what did you build specifically? Talk about something that you built and the passion of like to try and get some type of emotion out of him, right? And he couldn't really talk to me about that. And so I would say, besides the how he carried himself and the way that he dressed, it was like, man, that was rough. Like it's hard for me to say yes to that. So no, I was just gonna say.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that you gotta be careful about how you dress, like even down to like your dental hygiene, because that matters too, because all we can go off is what we see, and if that first impression doesn't go well, there's not going to be that second interview or second round.
Yeah, we're not like in the the early days of tech where like just a bunch of coder bros, like you can come in with a Dungeons and Dragons t-shirt,
right, exactly.
Yeah, come on in.
Yeah, come on in. We got it. We got the place right for you. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's more like normal corporate America now. Like you don't have to be super dressed up, but you have to look presentable.
Right. You have to look presentable, and I understand, like some people have certain traditions, right? And I respect that. I'm completely agnostic to traditions and stuff like that. Whatever your denomination is, or whatever you choose to believe, or whatever your traditions say, right? Go ahead and do it. Great, more power to you. But there's a time and date for everything. And I have another story about like the way that you dress. So this one day, this dude came into work, and he was wearing like he he's very laid back, right? Beanie, sweatshirt, sweatpants, sandals. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. We can wear sandals at work. And so I wore, I came into work one day with a do-rag, a t-shirt, jeans, and some sandals. Yeah. And my boss pulled me aside and he's like, the heck
are you doing?
What you doing, bro? And I'm just like, what? I'm chilling. Yeah. And I had the same shit-eating grin that I got on right now. Like, I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
And he's like, that looks lazy. And like those are his words. Exactly. That looks lazy.
Yeah.
That like pierced right into my soul. Like, okay.
I think at least he's seen something into you enough to care enough to tell you.
Yeah, man. And that goes back to the first point that we made, or the first topic that we talked about earlier. When people see you and they say something, are they trying to help you or are they trying to hurt you? And it's all in how you interpret it. And so from that day forward, I never wore sandals and a do-rag ever again. And so, I would say like corporate America is going to be corporate. That you can't change that, right? So you just have to sort of fall in line and then do what you do after work or on your own time, right? Express yourself on your own time. Like have your own little area like at work that you can express yourself, as long as it falls within whatever that corporate company's structure is. It might be different with work from home, right? But the whole point is you just kind of want to stay within your lines and be professional as much as possible. Yep.
Yeah, like I used to make that mistake too, man. Like my first programming job, I used to go, like, even Brian too, like he said he went up there with like some balling shorts and a wife beater. I used to go to work with like some sweatpants on, like some hat. And we worked in a Bank of America building, like and like lawyers and all of that kind of stuff. They rented out space in there. So like I was in the elevator with lawyers and stuff looking like that. Like, I'm surprised they didn't call the cops and get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it matters, man. Like dressing nicely. When people see you, that if you look good, sometimes they just want you to win. Like, oh man, there's something about that guy. I just like him.
Yeah.
And whereas like if they're sloppy, like you said, it's like, oh man, I don't know if I want to be around this guy every day.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but it's more than technical than just coding.
Yeah. You got to find that middle ground. You have to marry the two, and you have to look at. I look at it like this: improve yourself, because it gives off that. It gives off that confidence, right? Like when you start building up on yourself, like work on your mind and work on your physical and as well as your mental, right? And then eventually they sort of just come together, and you just become sharper and just on point, and like it's almost like you just become unstoppable, or you feel like you could solve anything. At least personally, that's the feeling that I get. Where like my boss will give me a task and be like, hey, we're looking into this. Oh yeah, I could do this and we could do this and blah, 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 blah. Like it doesn't take me hours to sit down and figure out a problem. And so I credit like, I credit just everything that I've been doing from working out to dressing myself, like waking up in the morning as if I had to go out into the world eventually.
Yeah.
Like and try to present myself, because you're advertising yourself all the time, even when you don't think you are.
Yeah. So that's like the cool thing about challenging yourself, and also being in a job that challenges you, because at first it might seem like, oh man, I can't do this, but it's kind of like lifting weights. Like, if you really want to get those gains, you're gonna have to put some weight on there that you're struggling with. So if you really want to make progress in your career, you need to be at a job where it's like, oh man, this is tough. Like they're putting a lot on my plate. But once you accomplish it, it's like, okay, man, wow, I didn't think I could do this. And then you come across similar problems, like, I already did this before. This is easy.
Yeah.
So don't hide from a challenge.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Like, are you running from something? Is it out of fear, or is it out of do you fear the loss, or do you fear success? Right? Because there's two types of fear.
I think a lot of people got that fear of failure.
But on the other side of failure is success, right? Like, what if you succeed, and then you never even experience the failure? And so what if you fail?
Honestly, I think people are conditioned from schooling because, like, okay, school, you start at the top, you start at 100.
Right.
And each mistake you make, you only go down, 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 down. And then if you go down too far, okay, you got to repeat the grade, or okay, your parents ground you or beat you. You know what I mean? So they got that idea, like, failure is bad, I can't fail. Whereas in real life, you have to fail sometimes in order to succeed. Right. Like you said, like, why does it matter now? So you just got to recondition your mind, like, get away from what you were taught. And like you say, like, make your mistakes and learn from it. Like, nobody's gonna grab a stick and beat you if you make a little mistake. They might fire you if you make too big of a mistake, but that's why you want to get your practice out before you get to work.
There should be safe measures. There should be measures in place for you not to make a really big mistake. And if you remember that day when I hit you up and I was like, I have no idea how to do a PR. Like, I was like, help. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm lost. Yeah. And like, you walked me through it. And so, because in my mind, it's like, all right, this is my first, like, I felt like I was starting all over. Like, this was my first developer position. And so I didn't know how to do a PR because we don't use Git. So I was like brand new, not brand new, but pretty new to Git. I haven't used it in a while. And so, like, that's when you should, if you don't know something, ask. And I think like I don't know where junior developers maybe get this idea of like, man, like, I got to know everything. And because I've been there, and I don't know where I got it. I just picked it up over time, right? And I think it might be because of job applications listing like 200 things, but that's neither here nor there. If you don't know something, ask. Like, I was making, for example, like, I was doing something in coding once. I was like, I have no idea how to do this. Let me find somebody that knows how to do it. Let me ask Kevin. Okay, cool. Yeah. And Kevin walked me through it. I took down some notes. Boom, I got it. All right, cool. Do I have to ask Kevin for something ever again? Probably.
You got it.
But I got the piece that I need, and I got the steps to achieve it. And so, like today, I'm making jambalaya, right, for the first time tonight. And so I asked my mom, like, I told my mom I'm gonna make jambalaya, and she rattled up. All right, you're gonna need this. 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 All right, cool. Because I didn't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Flashback 2 weeks ago, I made fish. Right. My mom came into the kitchen. She looked. What are you doing? I said, I'm setting up my what do you call it? My egg wash for fish or whatever. She's like, that's not how you do it. I don't know what you're doing, but that's not how you do it. Right. And so, like, the point I'm trying to make is that if you don't ask, if you don't ask for the help, then no help will be given. Like, knocking, the door will be answered to you, right? Seeking, you shall find. And so, learn to knock, right? But don't be aggressive when knocking. I think, like, when I mean by knocking, like, learn to network, but network genuinely. Like, I've had people hit me up sometimes, like, ever since, like, even with me changing my title, like oh, hey, let me get a job, and I'm like, I don't know you. Right. I can't just wave a magic wand and boom, you've got a job. Like, I get it. Like, you're hungry. That's cool. But if you're hungry and I don't see that hunger,
reach out first and say, hey, how you doing?
Right. Hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. How's it going? Hey, how did you get to where you got? Start a dialogue.
Right.
Dialogue first. That'll take you way further. You're way more memorable than just job applicant 1, job applicant 2, job applicant 3. So
another interesting point is sometimes it's not even the person, it's the company. Like sometimes you work at a company where you have like stuck up developers, a senior developer, they don't want to help you out.
right.
So I've heard of a guy in a situation like that. Like he was in his first job, he was super stressed out because nobody would help him out, and I think he quit actually. But if you get let go from a company like that, don't let that influence your future decisions. Like sometimes you just got to get in at a good company. There are bad companies out there.
Yeah, there's bad
people
fits.
Don't want to help you out.
Yeah, there's bad fits, and I think it comes down to nobody helped me out, so I'm not going to help them out. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
And so people want you again. It's that idea of advice that comes down to somebody can give you advice, but it's up to your interpretation and how you take it, how you respond to that advice, that makes or breaks you. If they say Google it, right? My mother used to always say this: Google it, look it up, Google it. I'm like, fuck, just answer the question. But now, if I ever need something, or if I'm ever interested about something, I always Google it. That's just my default. My go-to is just Google it.
And it's kind of like how it is when you come across a lot of people that don't help you out. You're just like, man, I'm gonna just go do it for myself. Like,
yes, yeah.
I mean, in a way that's good too, though, because there are those jobs where people don't want to help you. So it's like, man, I just gotta find out how to do it myself. And then, once you're self-sufficient like that, you become the authority, the go-to guy.
Right.
Like, okay, he knows how to do it. Let me ask him now.
Yep. Because it's like when you hit that point of, oh man, I know it, I'm confident. I've gone through I had this scary problem. I went out, I found answers to it. I tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. That 6th thing worked. Okay, cool. I got the answer to this. I'm gonna save that answer. I've got I don't know how many bookmarks I have now, but like before I didn't really bookmark anything. Now it's like I've got folders on folders of bookmarks and stuff just saved for later. And and it I lost my point, but I think I was going to the point of like, if somebody wasn't going to help me, I would help myself. And that self-reliance is another part of the path to success. Right, being reliant on yourself. And I know that everybody's story is different, right? I can't just paint him this broad stroke of be self-reliant, but at one point in time you have to just tell yourself, like, I'm gonna make it and I'm gonna do this, and this is how I'm gonna do it. I used to pirate so many courses. I don't know how many like, thinking about it now, I used to probably shouldn't talk about this out loud, but oh well, the cat's out of the bag. But like, I used to just BitTorrent tons of video courses on just everything, Webpack and MongoDB and Postgres and React.js and Native and Kafka, just Cassandra SQL, just everything. So if I saw it on a resume on a job application, I would find a course on it and just download it. And it to me, if I tried to basically just like learn a breadth of things and say, okay, if I prepare for the most, then I'll be ready for anything. But it regardless of like that's suicide, because if somebody asked me about one thing about Cassandra SQL right now, I'd probably fail because I don't remember anything about it. But the point that I'm making is that if you want something, right? If you want to learn martial arts, if you want to learn how to code, if you want to learn how to repair a car, you got to be your own self-starter. and you got to find a mentor that's going to be able to sort of beat the dents out of you and straighten you up. And that comes by speaking out and networking. I remember I met you through Jenny, I believe.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Jenny and I would, and this will be the ending of my long story. I realize I've been talking for a minute. I met you through Jenny, and like, I wouldn't think that I'd be on this podcast talking about this right now,
right.
Years later. So like, you never know where networking is going to take you.
Yep.
And I recommend anybody who thinks that they're just going to make it on their own, or that by being a self-starter, or that they can do everything on their own. Sure, you might be able to do it on your own, but the journey is so much sweeter when you've learned to connect with people that are on the same journey or similar journeys.
Yeah. Because realistically, something I found is like your mind can only hold so much information. I can't be good at every single thing. So at a certain point, I'm like, okay, this guy has skills I don't. I need to team up with him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like even for this podcast, it's like there's a point where I don't want to have to ever touch making thumbnails or any of that kind of stuff. So it's like we're gonna have to find out that kind of stuff.
Right. Yep.
We don't have enough time to be great at every single thing. So including coding, like you don't know everything. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion, we're reaching out to somebody else to get that knowledge that we don't know, whether it's we talking to them directly, reading a book or a post they wrote, you know, is we got to get past like thinking of ourselves as mini gods that we know how to do everything. We have all the knowledge. You're vastly limiting yourself if you do that.
Yep. But yeah, man.
But yeah, you want to make another point?
No. Okay, I'm pausing myself on that one. We hit the hour mark.
Yeah. There's a good point to end. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoyed this show.
Yeah. Peace, people.
Have a good one.